I just want to talk a little bit about fall maintenance right now. With fall maintenance, there's certain things that we want to be able to take care of in the fall as opposed to waiting until spring. One of the big questions that we always have is which perennials need to be cut back, which ones shouldn't be cut back, and which ones does not really even matter. So generally speaking, with the perennials, most of them that are deciduous should be cut back. There are a few that keep their leaves during the winter, and those are plants that we want to be able to keep up for the winter as well. So as we work through this and we're cutting back some perennials, one of the first things that we'll do is just going through right in the center of a plant. If we need to, we can cut them off, or they can just easily pull out this time of year because they've been hit by frost quite a few times, like these trees. So we just get those off to the side. But then there's stockier ones, like the Simpsophuga here, that we'll have to go through and individually cut them off. We want to cut them right at the base so that they're at about only 1 or 2 inches high all the way through. Gather it all up, throw it to the side. Want to make sure that we're getting the foliage out of here, especially on something like a flowering phlox, the tall garden phlox here. With that, generally there's always mildew on that during the summer. If we get that cut back and removed, taken away from here, it's a little bit less of the disease that powdery mildew is, less chance for them that to be able to overwinter. Another one of the plants that people wonder about quite often are evergreen perennials. This is an example here of an evergreen perennial, the coral bells. Coral bells are a plant that do keep their foliage all winter long, and we do like to keep those up through the winter. By spring, they will start to look kind of tattered, and then the whole plant could be cut back in the spring, and it will completely re-leaf and get just as big again next year. So there's that. Then there's also the Pachysandra that many people know about. Pachysandra has a dark green leaf all winter long, and with that Pachysandra, we do like to, in sunny locations, we like to cover that maybe about the beginning of December with evergreen boughs, because that has the possibility of winter bloom. We don't want to do it much before the ground freezes hard, otherwise that'll be another place where voles or mice would want to live for the winter. So it's important to do any of those sorts of coverings, just like hybrid tea roses after the ground is frozen. It's still way too early to do those right now. Okay, ornamental grasses. Certainly those are a plant that has a lot of winter interest. You can see here, as the sun is going down later in the day here, how great the sun looks coming through them. So I always recommend that we leave those up, and a lot of people do really enjoy that foliage during the winter. These heads will turn a little bit more brown, and that looks great too. For protecting trees in the wintertime against sun scald and rabbit damage or mouse damage, we like to use regular paper tree wrap. What we'll do with that, we'll start at the bottom, and then we just spiral up, always covering over the wrap that we already have in place, going right up to the top of the tree. By putting this on, it's going to help protect the bark. And prevent critters from chewing on it. we'd like to get a couple of feet up just because if the snow gets deep during the wintertime, we don't want to have them coming over the top of the snow. Get to the top. And we just tape it off once around with duct tape and twice around, and we're set with that project. Another thing that we want to be able to do in the fall is to go through and water evergreens that were planted this year. Even though the ground is frozen, even though in December the ground will start to freeze, an evergreen will still continue to pull moisture out of frozen ground. So it's very important for us to get as much water into the plant at this time of the year so that it will prevent it from drying out in the springtime. And that's when you'll see that, is in the spring. Maybe it's going to be March and the evergreen is looking great all winter long, but then the drying winds of early spring come along and that really turns it brown. So most moisture that we can get in here, the better at this time of the year. Another one of the things we want to make sure that we do in the fall is protecting against rabbit damage on something like flowering shrubs. Obviously we can't use the paper going around this, so we would use hardware cloth or woven wire, it's also called, or welded wire. With that, we'd want to come around the plant, just keep it a little bit tight on the foliage, and it's best if it's going to be about 3 feet tall. That way, the snow comes, we don't have to worry too much about rabbits jumping over the top of the woven wire and then getting back inside and chewing it. So that's one great fun thing to do. And then also don't forget about gutters on the house. You want to get up there, blow them out, take care of that. And then also just be sure to unhook your hoses, bring those in after you've drained them, and then also putting away pottery pots that could freeze and crack during the winter. Thanks a lot.